I now call the Carroll County Board of Commissioners meeting June 7th to order. If you will all take a moment and please silence your cell phones. I'm going to call on Diane Roberts to do the roll call, please.
Chairman Morgan.
Here.
Vice Chairman McClendon. Absent. Commissioner Chance.
Here.
Commissioner Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Fuller.
Here.
Commissioner Reynolds.
Here.
Commissioner Chambers.
Here.
At this time, I'm going to call Pastor Jason Poore with Oak Hollow Church up to do our invocation and Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I appreciate the opportunity. It's a privilege. Thank you so much, Commission and everyone that's gathered. I'm pastor at Oak Hollow Church. I know it was new information from Miss Michelle, but as such, we need more churches in Carroll County, so we believe. So when we had the opportunity to plant a new church, we had the opportunity to do that with some other churches in our community who agreed. And right now we meet at Central High School. We gather regularly for worship there on Sunday mornings at 11. And anyone who doesn't have a church home or a pastor, you're welcome to come and visit with us. I'd like to read just one little section right here and then pray for us. And then do I need to begin the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, please.
I'll do that. All right. In the Gospel of John, I'll read just a few verses. John writes this: "The true light, which gives light to everyone, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, yet the world did not know him. He came to his own, and to his own people they did not receive him. But to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become the children of God, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor the will of man, but of God. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory, glory as the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth." If there's one thing I could ask God for, is that he would endow us with the Spirit to give us both grace as much as he will, and truth as much as he will. Let's pray. Father, we love you and we thank you for the great blessing of community and this opportunity to gather together with leaders, both those that are elected and those that are sent to represent. Father, I'm thankful that you've given us this leadership. This is a leadership gift, tool that you've given to all of humanity, specifically, though, to your people. So we are thankful that there are guidance, there's guidance and there's rule, and there are laws and there's legislation. There are things that are in place to help protect us. Father, we are thankful that you've given us such a gift. We pray now, as we submit this time to you, that every decision that's made, every word that's uttered, will be glorifying to you. Father, if I could pray for one thing right now, I would pray for as much grace as you would give, not only your people, but anyone else here who has not yet trusted in Christ for salvation. I pray that they would come to that knowledge, but Father, I pray that you would give them as much grace as they can have and understand and then share with others. And Father, I pray also for truth, for honesty, for integrity, for the things that set apart us from others who do not have the truth. So Father, would you give us these things? Would you give those gifts to commission members and other leaders who will speak today, those who will hear, those who will consider, and those who will be graceful and hopefully honest with one another. Father, again, this is a good gift, so we ask that you would be glorified and that you would be honored by us offering back to you what is on your shoulders. As your word has said, Father, this government, any of this legislation is upon your shoulders. We trust you for this, and we thank you for what you've done, and we look forward to how you're going to glorify yourself in us, your people. We love you. We praise you. It's in the name of Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jason. this time, I look for a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed? Great, thank you. I'll now look for a motion and a second for the approval of the minutes. 6-1, the budget work session of April 20th, 2022. The work session minutes from April 28th, 2022. The Board of Commission meeting minutes from May 3rd, 2022. Executive session meeting minutes May 3rd, 2022. And the budget work session minutes from May 4th, 2022.
Motion to approve items 6.1 through 6.5.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion passed 6-0.
At this time, we'll go into public comments. Public comments are an opportunity for the public to address the commission with any issues or concerns they may have. All remarks should be directed to the chairman and not to individual commissioners, staff, or any citizens in attendance. Members of the public shall not make inappropriate or offensive comments. Any individual who violates the rules of decorum may be removed from the meeting. At this time, the board will not comment nor take any action on any of the comments. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. This is also not the time for planning and zoning, so if you have any public comments not related to planning and zoning, I welcome you to come forward. I'll ask a second time, is there anyone here who'd like to speak during the public comment section? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move into zoning, and I will call Janet Hyde, the county planner, forward. Yes, while she's coming. So the rules of planning and zoning, the applicant or anyone speaking in favor of the application or request shall be allowed a total of 10 minutes to present their request. Anyone opposed to the request shall also have a total of 10 minutes to present their opposition. If there are multiple speakers for or against the application, please be mindful of each other because there's only a total of 10 minutes. Not 10 minutes each person, but a total of 10 minutes. Once we've done the initial 10 minutes, the applicant will then have an opportunity to speak for 5 minutes in rebuttal, and then anyone who is opposed will also have another 5 minutes. And there again, it's a cumulative 5 minutes, not 5 minutes each person. So at this time, Janet, I will turn it over to you.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. The first item I have for you all tonight is a conditional use for a special event facility. This is item C-22-04-04. This is in District 5. This was heard by the Planning Commission on April 19th, and they tabled it until the May 17th meeting, where Planning Commission recommended denial. Approval. Again, they're applying for special event venue. The acreage that they have is 39.6, and this qualifies for an intermediate event venue. This is parcel number 081-0174, located at 1578 Bonner Gold Mine Road. This applicant has an existing barn on the property, as well as their single-family home. They have been operating this venue for some time. Mrs. Cobb had come in back in February of 21 and asked for a business license and was told that she had to get a conditional use permit, and then did not follow through with that for whatever reason. Staff is recommending denial of this application based on some complaints that we had from the neighborhood. Again, Planning Commission recommended approval after they had tabled at their first meeting. And I've received numerous emails regarding this project, both for and against. So I want to pass those around to you all. I have copies right here. And I'll let you look through that. The applicant is present to speak on behalf of this project.
And we'll also let the record reflect that Commissioner McClendon has joined us.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Cobb. I live at 1578 Bonner Gold Mine Road. Is that better? Y'all hear me? I've applied for a conditional use permit for my barn. I realize how difficult the situation could be to vote on. I have heard and was able to respectfully respond to any of my neighbors' concerns. Over the last year, we have opened our home and our barn to friends and family for private events. I've had friends get married on our land, a celebration of life. We've celebrated birthdays, baby showers, and holidays together. I've had events for my Girl Scout troop of 30 girls, events for Carroll County schools, civic and community meetings, parties for foster children. Every event at my barn I have been present for, and my children have been invited to. We did not apply before for a conditional use permit because every event has been for and with friends and family. We built our barn gradually as we had the money. We applied for the plumbing, building, and septic and electrical permits. We passed the state fire inspection, including ADA requirements, handicap parking, with signs, handrails in the bathroom, emergency lighting, fire extinguishers, and smoke detectors. We also discussed crowd managers and emergency preparedness for events. For noise concerns, I have a contract that will be for every event. It addresses zero tolerance for loud music. I'm working with the state on ways to contain the music, as well as adhering to their requirements for the safety of attendees. While on this topic, I would like to point out that the barn is in my backyard, and I do like to sleep. All events with music have ended before Carroll County ordinance time of 11 p.m. The trees were planted to soften the look of cars parked in front of the barn and in hopes to lessen the noise disturbance of our neighbors. I have since learned that what I hoped to achieve didn't happen. We're planning to move the trees this fall when the weather cools. The parking lot is a field of grass and approximately 6 acres. Carroll County Ordinance Chapter 102 states for a public assembly, there should be 15 parking spaces per 1,000 square feet of floor. The barn is 6,400 square feet, so 96 parking spaces would meet the requirements. You can park 100 vehicles on 1 acre. For traffic concerns, you should have a copy of a letter from Sheriff Terry Langley of the Carroll County Sheriff's Department. Deputy Chief Brad Robinson came to the barn to discuss traffic concerns and any other possible concerns. He believes any traffic occurring will not affect the neighborhood or all McDermott's that we live next door to. We also discussed with Deputy Chief Robinson how we will pay to have a deputy present for any event involving alcohol. We will allow the service of alcohol. Our policy is that the person hosting the event will get an alcohol permit per day through Carroll County. I will hire a licensed bartender that will work for us and not the person hosting the event. Following Carroll County ordinances measuring from the entrance of the barn to the first entrance of Bethesda Baptist Church, we are 590 yards away and in compliance with OCGA 3321 that states no sales of alcohol within 100 yards of a church building. The kitchen in the barn is a catering or warming kitchen. We do not have any commercial cooking equipment. The frequency of private events will be mostly on the weekends, and these hours of these private events will end by 10 p.m. I want to comply with the county and get my permit so that I can start advertising to begin making money and supplement our farm income. I understand the conditional use permit was intended for farmers to use their barn as a way to supplement their income. I may not have cattle running through my barn, but we do have a tractor with equipment in the barn, a lawnmower that works when it wants to, and hay bales. Sometimes the goats escape and leave evidence in the barn. We sell our chicken eggs, and we are trying our hand at raising feeder hogs. Farmers work to make money off of their land. I may not look like a traditional farmer, but it's been my full-time job since I've been laid off the last 3 years. Hosting birthdays and family gatherings is how I can make income to make changes that will benefit Carroll County and the local agriculture. I understand that changing times and economics have exhausted the idea of events centers for you all. My intention is to honor your show of faith by making sure my barn continues to give back and build in the community so that it's on an asset and something you all can also be proud of to have fostered.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nick Carnes, and I live at 1507 Bethesda Church Road. I did send an email to each of you this morning, but I also just wanted to, I want to take a couple of seconds. I don't live next door to John and Elizabeth, but I do live one property removed from them, and I've known them for a couple of years now. And I'll tell you right now, when they went to the first planning board meeting, for everything that they've been asked of, whether it's a procedure or whether it's a compliance or whether it's a request, they have met at every cost that they could possibly do. But they've met with neighbors to address their issues, and they have at least attempted and complied with any requests that they've had thus far. I completely support it. I appreciate everything they've done, and I appreciate the approval from you guys today. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of the application?
Hi, I'm Michelle Fritz. I am a friend, a personal friend of the Cobbs. I have hosted gatherings at their venue, and I want to appeal to you. I've already written emails, but I want to appeal to you from the standpoint of what a safe environment they provide for families like my own. The last time I was here, I spoke about being a law enforcement family, and in this climate, it's kind of dangerous sometimes for our family to be out during some of the really tense times. We were told by the state, stay home. For us to have a place where our family feels safe, where we can take our children, where we can relax and not be hyper vigilant at all times, is a blessing. The Cobbs encompass the spirit of Carroll County. They're all inclusive. They're accommodating, not just to law enforcement families, but to everyone who comes there. They're kind, they're welcoming. You cannot find a better venue to host your event at, and to know that you will go away happy and safe. And I beg you to vote yes to allow them to operate this venue. My family needs it. Carroll County needs it. Thank you.
Diane, we were on the 10-minute one. We just moved to 5, so, so are we,
There was 5 minutes left, so it's correct.
there's still,
anyway.
okay, I was making sure because I saw that the original one was 9, went down to 6, and then, okay, I just want to make sure we're still good. So we're at about
Yes.
3 minutes, that's correct. Okay, so there's 3 minutes and 27 seconds left if there's anyone who'd like to speak in favor.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Hamrick, and I'm a friend of the Cobbs. We had my son's 18th, his graduation from high school. He had turned 18 in January. My son has autism. Actually, I have 2 children who have autism. So to be able to have an event at a place where my son was just free to be who he is, I don't even think you can put a price tag on that. It was amazing. If you guys haven't seen it, I implored at the last meeting, please go out and visit this venue. It is beautiful. It is in keeping with the landscape around it. There's nothing untoward out there. It is a perfect place to have whatever party you're going to have, whatever celebration to have at this barn. It's fantastic. You guys, we really need this in our city.
Okay, we still have 2 minutes and 32 seconds left. If there's anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the application.
Come real quick. I'm Phyllis Head. I live at 1212 Bethesda Church Road. I would like to say I'm the only neighbor who can actually see the property laid out before me. I'm the only one that will be looking at a parking lot if they're having an event. And the Cobbs have made it very clear to me that they would make that less unattractive for me by decorating and landscaping so that would be taken care of. I appreciate that greatly. I would also like to thank the commission, the Board of Commissioners, because I know several of you have been out to talk to all of us about what's going on. So I appreciate your diligence in looking out for us. I have no problems with this. Elizabeth has met every one of my concerns and questions. One of those emails is from me, and it didn't say I was opposed. It said I was concerned. She has talked to me and taken care of every concern I had, and I think she would continue to do that with her neighbors while this is going on.
We have 1 minute and 34 seconds left if there's anyone who'd like to speak in favor of the application. I'll ask a second time if there's anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of the application. Well, seeing and hearing none, we'll reset the clock for 10 minutes if there's anyone that would like to come and speak against the application.
We're Paula and J.R. Duncan, and we live at 1570 Bonner Goldmine Road, which is directly next to the proposed venue, which is approximately 200 yards from our home and even less than that from our joint property line. We built our home in 2020 and moved into it in December of that year. We searched long and hard to find the perfect piece of land on which to build our forever home. We decided to settle into this agricultural area of Carroll County, in a large part because of the peace, quiet, and solitude offered by the area. It has been our longtime dream to own a piece of land and build a home in Carroll County. As many others have done, we invested much of our hard-earned life savings into achieving our dream. Unfortunately, the event venue at Cobb Farms has already proven to be a threat to that dream. The opposition to the venue by many of our nearby neighbors, as well as complaints in regards to past events, demonstrates that approval of this business can be detrimental to the overall community in terms of noise, traffic, safety, and even property values. The Cobbs have stated to us in the past that it was their intent when they purchased their property to build an event venue. Even some of the emails in support of the venue speak to the fact that the Cobbs discussed with them their plans and dreams of building a barn that holds events shortly after purchasing the property in 2017. They selected the property on Bonner Gold Mine in the middle of an agricultural zoned area without considering the current zoning or whether members of the neighborhood would object to having a commercial event venue in the middle of their community. After purchasing their property, they proceeded to build the venue out, only seeking approval after completing the build and hosting events there for over a year. I believe, based on comments in previous meetings, that the original ordinance allowing for special use permits such as this was originally put in place to assist farmers coming out of the recession to generate additional income by periodically allowing them to use their working barns for special events. Today's request in no way keeps with the spirit of the original intent of that ordinance. The facility being discussed today was built to be used as a commercial event venue, and they are only now seeking approval. My understanding is that past use of this ordinance to justify these types of special use permits is proposed. There's a moratorium proposed on that, which will be reviewed in this very meeting. Why allow this to propagate and have another venue approved in an agricultural zone when it's being questioned already? I have read all of the emails online that have been sent in both support and opposition of the venue. Based on the emails I've read, the majority of those in favor are from past customers, as well as friends and family of the Cobbs. However, the opinions of people who would then pay for the temporary use of this venue and come into our community for 4 or 5 hours to party and celebrate and then leave cannot and should not compare to the opinions of those of us who have made significant investments of not only our hopes and dreams, but also our time and money into our homes and property. There are 19 similar venues already approved in Carroll County. There's not a need for another one. In opposition to the venue, we have submitted a petition which contains 39 signatures representing 22 distinct households, most of which are located within a mile or so of the proposed venue and represent a significant number of the families in our rural community. These households are in opposition to the approval of the special use permit, and these families are affected by your decision today. In conclusion, we aren't asking you to change anything. We are asking that you uphold the current zoning and deny the special use permit to ensure the rights of those people who purchased property and built their homes in this agricultural zoned area are upheld and protected.
Somebody else speak.
Okay, there's 5 minutes and 54 seconds left. Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak against the application?
My name is Susan Chandler, and I live at 1320 Bonner Goldmine Road. I am just directly paying attention to what went around that was attached to Miss Janet's, that was sent to Janet Hyde. There were 34 letters that totally supported approving the conditional use permit. 20 of those listed are not on the Carroll County website as a Carroll County property owner. Of the remaining 14, 10 live between 7 and 18.7 miles away. 3 live between 4.3 and 4.7 miles away. Only 1 that is in total support lives less than 1 mile away. I think this is about the people who live, like the people before me said, the people who live very close by in a 1 mile radius. Thank you.
There's 4 minutes and 58 seconds left. If anyone would like to speak against the application, please.
My name's Robert Young. I have to admit, I have trouble hearing you back there. I do have a hearing disability. I would say if you had the speaker system that the venue has over there, it would probably be greatly improve us here. The thing I haven't heard today is a character about our neighborhood. You know, the physical layout of it is really kind of like an amphitheater. I live the equivalent of 3 football fields from the barn that the applicant is using. Bonner Gold Mine is on a ridge. It's the Ridge Road. And everything that comes down toward my house, it just picks up the sound, and it's like a Hollywood Bowl almost. I mean, we live in a bowl out there, and some days when they had snow and ice out there, we've literally had pregnant neighbors that had to be taken across country through the fields so we could get them to Tanner to deliver their baby. So it's uphill in every direction, so the sound stays in this community here. So all that saying, sound really carries, more so at night, as we all know. The incidences that I've heard during the day haven't been quite as severe as at night, but the equivalent of 10 football fields away, I think I said 3, it's 10 football fields away is where my house is from the barn. My wife and I at night, we've been sitting in our den with the TV on, and we could hear the thump, thump, beat, beat of the music over at this party venue. I heard the words come out of happy and beautiful and all that. It is a beautiful area. We all were pretty happy out there before we heard about this venue out there. I have a short letter here that I would just like to read if I could. It says, I'm Robert Young. I live at 203 Walker Road. I'm in opposition to the application referenced here tonight. The applicant has been operating a party venue in excess of 18 months without a conditional use approval or business license. There have been instances of exceptionally loud music, especially late at night, and this is extremely upsetting. There's septic volume violations in that the operation potentially generates sewage volumes far above the design capacity. I understand staff addressed part of that. The property is also in violation of the approved Carroll County Comprehensive Land Use Plan. The operation of the party venue has already created noise complaints from neighbors and is generally a nuisance in the form of excessive traffic and potential dangers from partiers being overserved and going unmonitored by any form of supervision. Potential drinking and driving is a clear danger to the community, not to mention its close proximity to Bethesda Road Baptist Church. These are only a few of the reasons I and others are opposed to this application. The applicant has operated for over 18 months with no approvals or license, was told by officials in February 2021 that they needed to seek approvals, but ignored the county requirements and continued to operate even as recently as May the 28th, 2022. I do not understand the applicant's disregard to the county ordinances and the instructions to cease operations without proper approvals. The other comment I have is I too read the emails that were in the package. I noticed that a lot of the emails in support, the people didn't put their address in the email. I looked at some of these names on it and saw that one in particular, the lady lived over next off Bankhead Highway in the vicinity of the racetrack gas station and QT. That's about 18 or 20 miles from this venue. She was in support of it, and she had nice things to say about it, and I appreciate that. But yet, it's not her neighborhood, it's ours that's changing. I appreciate your consideration on this, and we would appreciate it if you would vote against it. Thank you.
We have about 18 seconds left if anyone would like to come and speak against the application.
With my southern drawl, this is a tough task. You know, there's a lot I've served on a homeowner association board, and, you know, our duty was to protect people around us, you know, and their values and all that. I cannot see where this venue, with so many of them around, could increase our value.
I hate to cut you short, but there'll be 5 minutes in rebuttal. You can. Okay, the applicant now has 5 minutes in rebuttal if they'd like to come forward, or anyone else.
My neighbors who support me, please stand up since you didn't say anything. I understand, that I have played music too loud. I understand everybody is mad because I let my family and friends have events at my barn. I didn't realize that was a problem, to allow my friends and family to have events at my barn. So I guess duly noted. I promise to work with the state and figure out ways to build a clamshell to keep the noise inside. We've gone so far as to say no music will be allowed. That's all I got.
I'm back. It's Phyllis Head again, 1212 Bethesda Church Road. I'm right across the street from Elizabeth, so I can hear everything that goes on. But I would like to say this. When I talked to Janet about what was happening with, I talked to Janet and told her that the Cobbs had planted a row of trees that I was very upset about because it would completely ruin my sunset views. And Janet told me that there was something they said around the planning and commission zone. If you want the view, you can buy it. Well, I would respectfully suggest if you want peace and quiet in the country, you can buy that too. You have to have enough land not to be bothered by your neighbors. The people that are complaining about noise also complain when the Cobb's children are at their pool playing music in the middle of the day. Well, I'm sorry, children are loud, they're boisterous, they make noise, they have music. This is in the daytime, this is not after hours. This is in the regular course of the day. I hear Terry Walker's tractors running around. I hear my neighbors' buzzsaws going in trees. I hear a lot of things that I could take or leave. It's not, the country's not a quiet place all the time. If regular living and parties, you know, make a problem, then that's your problem. I would also like to suggest that under ordinance, if she has a permit, she has to keep that noise level to 85 decibels. If she doesn't get permitted, her kids can play at the pool and play as much loud music as they want and scream and holler till whatever time at night. You know, at least if we permit her, she's got to keep it to a certain level. So it's something to consider. But you want the noise level completely zero, buy it. Buy enough land to live that way.
There's still 2 minutes and 16.
Michelle Fritz. During the opposition, they said that the use of farmland was approved for various, to make money, extra money, to help you through the recession. In this economic time, I cannot think of a different time that we need more ways to make more money, with gas prices skyrocketing, with groceries skyrocketing, with just cost of living in general. Most of us are struggling to get by. If that's not proper use of this law or this rule or whatever it's called, I can't imagine what is. They need to be able to support their family. That's why they have said that they would like to supplement what John brings in, and why Elizabeth has taken this as her full-time job. It is a proper use of the law or the rule or the memorandum. I don't know what the proper word is, but it is proper to allow them to use this to supplement their income to support their family as proper use of the law. Thank you.
One of the concerns that I heard the gentleman, I think Mr. Young, speak about was drinking and driving or alcoholic use at the barn, events, whatever. First of all, let me assure you that no one is going to take this more seriously than Elizabeth or John. I was actually hit by a drunk driver 4 years ago, so she knows firsthand and has watched me recover from the dangers of drinking and driving. This is something that she's very serious about. So she is not going to be just allowing people to be overserved, and any good bartender is not going to overserve you anyway, because that's actually their license in danger of getting revoked, and there can be a lot of trouble for them. So that's not something that I think is really lacking on her end.
Okay, at this time, we'll move into the 5 minutes of those that would like to speak in rebuttal.
I got cut a little short, but I was out of time. Al Chandler, I live at 1320 Bonner Gold Mine Road. I didn't tell you that to start with. But I talked about property values and you know, I just don't see how there's any way this could increase our property values, but I see the opportunity that it could decrease our property values. And that's concerning to me. You look down all of Bonner Gold Mine Road, it's 5-point-something miles, around 6 miles, and I'll bet you can count on that hand how many people have not lived there over 20 years. So they counting on these property values as a place in the country to live and be quiet. My wife and I, we just built a deck and a porch and spent $70,000, $80,000 to be able to listen to quiet. We didn't pipe in TV or stereo. We wanted quiet. I worked in Atlanta for almost 40 years. I want to come home and have quiet, and I'm scared of this. Nothing personal. I'm just scared of it. Thank you.
We have 4 minutes and 1 second left. If anyone else would like to speak in rebuttal.
I don't know who commented that we were complaining about their kids playing on a trampoline. It wasn't us. I don't know who that was. But this right here is what I'm complaining about. If it'll play. Sorry. That's my back deck. Sang the lyrics.
As well, that was earlier, but even after we came in April, the noise has continued since then. This time we called and asked them to shut it down, not shut it down, just quiet it down. She came over into our yard and instead basically didn't feel like that music was very loud. I didn't notice a difference in the noise level of the music even after we complained. Secondly, everyone who's opposed, would you please raise your hands? All right, so I just wanted that opportunity since they had it earlier. So we are not the only people opposed to this. I feel like it's been very personal against us. We have 39 signatures, 22 different addresses within a mile to 2 miles of the venue. This is not isolated. We are not the only ones concerned about this. Our rights should be considered as well. So, go ahead.
Also, I received a phone call last Saturday, or Saturday before last, or excuse me, last Saturday, before going home for Memorial Day, and it was a friend of mine, and he said, man, I can't believe I went to a party out there. A friend of mine rented that place last Sunday, the 22nd, and I can't believe how close it is to your house. I thought they were not supposed to be renting it. He very clearly told me that they rented it. And I have the guy's name, but I'm not gonna throw it out there. So if they were supposed to be shut down, why are they still in operation and still renting it?
We have 1 minute and 49 seconds left if anyone would like to speak in rebuttal.
My name is Joe Harrod. I live at 215 Bonner Gold Mine Road. I have lived there with my wife for 47 years. Her family has lived there for approximately 80 years. A lot of our neighbors are the same. This is an agricultural community that is going increasingly residential due to the realtors selling all 4 acres of land and building houses on agricultural property. Yes, there are tractors on farmland. They operate during the daytime. There is noise in the afternoon. There are chicken houses that smell like chicken houses. This is agricultural property, and to a lot of those chicken house owners, that's the smell of money. That's how they make their living. And I oppose this venue coming in due to the increased traffic, noise it makes to my neighbors, and I support them in their efforts. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary Montgomery. I'm at 200 Walker Road, and I am opposed to this zoning for many of the reasons already expressed. The noise, you can follow the program of the wedding reception when you can hear the microphone go, you can hear the crowd cheer. We are agricultural. We bought out there. We did buy the quiet, and it is not an appropriate place for a commercial business. Thank you.
I guess my question is, if this were to be approved, what happens next? The way I see the party venues working is they go in, they get started, everybody likes it, they keep having more and more parties, they have weddings, they have birthdays, they have all different kinds of outings, and all of a sudden, they're in talking to you about expansion. This operation is not something that I thought was going to be in our area out there.
I'm sorry, the
So
time is up.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, commissioners, we've gone through the comment time. Do you have any questions for staff or the applicant?
I think I've read through everything that staff has come up with, but I would just like to ask, yes, you, Janet, a couple questions. In the application, which I made a copy, this is what staff came up with as far as these comments that the proposed use may have an adverse effect on the neighborhood. The use is not compatible with the neighborhood, average and peak of 96 cars and that kind of thing. Is that correct?
That is correct,
And
yes.
when was this compiled?
This report was done
About?
before the first planning commission meeting in April.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And then there was an inspection on March 15th. And do you know the statement that was made on that inspection, or have that with you?
I think you're referring to the code enforcement inspection?
Yeah.
Okay. The officer who went out there asked, and I think I've got a copy of my file, just hang with me 1 second. The officer who went out had instructed the Cobbs that they could no longer operate until this conditional use permit was heard.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay.
Great.
Any other questions for staff or the applicant?
Janet, I'm looking at this is a soil report. And it says the 52 feet of septic tank fill line is undersized based on the soil conditions noted on the level 3 soil report provided by, and it's got the name of the lab, May 29, 2019. It says, in order to bring this facility up to code as an event venue, the owner must apply for a commercial septic tank repair permit to bring it into compliance.
Right, and
Did
if
that happen?
if this conditional use permit is approved, they will have to bring it into compliance. That's normally something that staff handles after an event venue is approved.
Okay.
However, Planning Commission had asked for that information specifically, so we provided it.
One more question. So our future land use, it's in our packet, but just to be clear, the future land use of this area is all surrounding about a mile is all agriculture. Is that right? Correct?
It is agricultural, yes, but this application is not for a rezoning, so we're
Right.
not actually changing the zoning
Right.
of the property, so.
Yeah.
If there's no further questions or comments, I look for a motion in a second.
I would like to say that since this is in my district, I really took this to heart, as I tried to do in every situation that affects my constituents directly. Anything that conclusion or motion that I come up with is taken not at all lightheartedly. I visited the Cobbs and their venue. It is a very nice facility. I visited with a lot of the neighbors. I've gotten a plethora of emails, many against and many supporting. I would like to just go over some points that kind of seconds some of the comments that have been made as far as the 34 letters of support with the 20 not on the county records, as was mentioned, and of the remaining 14, 10 are several miles away. I went through just, for example, a dozen of the emails that I got in support, and yes, there were some, like Mr. Nicholas Carnes mentioned. He sent one in support on Bethesda Church. The McDermotts sent one there nearby on Baxter Road. But many of the letters of support were from significantly far away. I'll just run through the 10 or 12 here that I copied out. Villa Rica, and I did this based on the tax map records. There's one here in either Temple, Bowden, or Villa Rica. The last names I found in those areas, but none near the venue. Another one in support from the Temple area. Another one in support just a couple of properties away from the Heard County line, probably 5 miles away or so. Another one, as was mentioned, on Bankhead Highway, probably 10, 12 miles away. Another one was on North Highway 27 near the intersection of Highway 5 and Highway 27, probably 5 miles away or so. Another was on Holly Tree Road and Pleasant Hill Road. It's on Holiday Drive. That was probably 12 miles away or so. There was another one probably 10 miles away near the Carrollton Bypass and Noonan Road. There was one near Mike Bell Chevrolet and the J. Smith Lanier offices, probably 12 miles away or so. Anyway, another one 5 miles away, another one I didn't see in the Carroll tax property records. And I know Ms. Fritz spoke in support of it. I could not find your property tax records, so I don't have an address for you, but I appreciate the letter you sent in. In contrast, what I do have is other letters, I have 19 of them actually printed out that were sent to my county email address that oppose, that are nearby, all within 1 to 2 miles. Just for example, run through them on Walker Road, Bonner Gold Mine, Bethesda Church, Bonner Gold Mine, Walker Road, Thomas Wilson Road, Walker Road, Bonner Gold Mine Road, Baxter Road, Bonner Gold Mine Road, Bethesda Church Road, Bonner Gold Mine 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 Road, Bethesda Church, Walker Road, and then there was one that was a little further away, probably 5 miles away, near Old Camp Church Road. But anyway, and all those in opposition cited noise, traffic, and mainly the peace and quiet. So I tell you, I got into this and ran for office to help the public, to help you navigate through government and support you as constituents. And I can't please everybody. I'm sorry. That's what happens when you're in this seat. So you have to make a decision. And I do not believe in government regulations. I do believe that for the most part and entirely, government should stay out of the way and let people do what they want to do on their property that they pay taxes for and that they've bought, until what they do infringes on the pleasantness of others and their investment. And I know I've been to the Cobb's venue. I know you've spent a lot of money there. It looks expensive. It looks nice, and I can very much appreciate that. I also know that others have spent a lot of money on their residences there, probably $600,000–800,000 on their homes compared to maybe $200,000 on your venue. So I have to sympathize with both. And everyone I've spoken with, that neighborhood is jam up. If I wanted to pick a place to live in Carroll County and move out of where I live now, it would be that area. I love it. And I do think that with this extent of opposition, it says something. I also read through what staff developed, like I've mentioned already, that one of the criteria is whether or not there will be a significant adverse effect on the neighborhood, and their response was the proposed use may have an adverse effect on the neighborhood. There have already been events held at this venue which have disrupted the neighborhood, and they go on to say the use is not compatible with the neighborhood and because it's mainly rural and agricultural, and that there would be an average and peak of 96 cars and so on. So with those things in mind, I feel obliged, putting myself in all of your shoes, that I have to make a motion for the venue to be denied.
I have a motion to deny the application. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion, any further questions for staff or the applicant? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of denying the application? Any opposed?
Aye.
Vote was 6-1, motion
Denied.
denied.
Okay.
I didn't know whether to say pass.
Thank you. All right, Janet, we'll call you back to This is 9.2, a conditional use for 400 Kugler Road.
The next case is C-22-05-01. This is an application for conditional use for a secondary detached dwelling. The applicant is Amanda Ravel. The parcel number is 042-0128, and it is 400 Kugler Road in Bowden. This applicant is requesting a conditional use to add a second dwelling for her in-laws, and Planning Commission recommended approval of this, and staff is also recommending approval. And Ms. Ravel is present.
If you'll wait just a moment so we can get our clock back up, just to. Great, thank you.
My name is Amanda Revel. I do live at 400 Kugler Road in Bowden. We moved here in April, and we moved from the Columbus area. And when I say we, it's my husband, myself, and our 2 children, and we brought along my in-laws. And when we decided to make this move, my husband took a new job in the area. And when we decided to move, my in-laws decided they wanted to join us. There wasn't really anything left for them in the Columbus area, no additional family there. And they wanted to kind of spend the rest of their time with my kids and with us. And we had lived in the kind of on a family compound kind of area when we were in Columbus, and so we kind of wanted to do that same thing here. We looked at real estate for a while before we bought the property on Kugler Road, and didn't find anything that, as it was, met our needs. So we bought the property with the intent to either find something down the road that was down the road literally and figuratively that would work for them to either buy nearby or either to build something on our property. When we learned that the property was zoned agricultural and that we could apply for this conditional use permit, we decided to go that route, and so here we are. We did go through the process, like Janet said, with the zoning session previously, and did everything we needed to do there. So next step here. That's what we want to do there. Next, so we want to build for them so that they can live on our property. They're involved in my children's lives on a daily basis, picking them up from school. My father-in-law plays golf almost on a daily basis with my son. So they're a part of our lives every day, and we want them to continue to be able to do that. And as they age and continue to get older, we want to be able to help them as we need to, and vice versa. They help us and we help them. So we just want to be able to continue to do that. So here we are. We don't feel like it will affect anything from a travel standpoint. They're going to be coming and going to our house anyway. So I guess that's all I really need to say, right, Janet? Is that it? I don't do the speaking thing real good.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor with you? They don't have to. I'm just asking if there's anyone else.
My mother-in-law's here. She's obviously in favor.
Okay.
But no, she's the only one with me.
Okay, great. Is there anyone else here willing to speak in favor of this application? I'll ask a second time, is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Seeing and hearing none, is there anyone here to speak against this application? I'll ask a second time, is there anyone here to speak against this application? Well, seeing and hearing none, we'll skip the rebuttal of 5 minutes on both sides. At this time, Commissioners, do you have any questions for staff or the applicant?
I have a question for the applicant. Obviously, I understand this is for your in-laws, but you have, if this was approved, you would have no intention of trying to sell the home or try to cut out property or sell it. This is for the sole intended purpose of allowing them to move in, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
I'm under the impression that it has to be at least 4 acres in that agricultural zoning anyway, so there wouldn't be enough acreage to divide it anyway.
Thank you.
And we wouldn't have any reason to want to rent it or anything like that either, because we wouldn't want anybody else that close.
Well, seeing and hearing no other questions, I'll accept a motion and a second for this application.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any further discussion, questions for staff or the applicant? Well, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of this application?
Aye.
Any opposed to this application?
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you. Janet will bring you back up for 9.3, the rezoning of 2653 West Highway 166.
This is application number Z-22-05-01. It is at the corner of State Highway 166 West and West Greenwood Drive. The address being 2653 West Highway 166. The application is to rezone 2 parcels from ag and R3 to residential for multiple lots. There's 10.4 acres here, and the applicant is looking to the Future Properties LLC. Parcel number 077-0115 and 077-0116. Staff is recommending approval of this application, and Planning Commission also recommended approval. You all should have a plat in your packet that shows the lot configuration that they are proposing. All the lots are at least 1 acre. Most are about 1.5 acres to 1.6 acres. This property is served by City of Carrollton water, but it will be on septic tank. Will not be served by City of Carrollton sewer. The applicant is represented by Mike Mashburn, and Mr. Mashburn is present.
Good evening. I hope y'all can hear me. I'm sorry. Allergies been a little messed up, so I apologize if I'm scratching. Just to be brief, I represent Look Into the Future Properties. We have taken 2 parcels, combined them. There's 10.4 acres there. It is surrounded by 2 subdivisions, which is all residential. The one on the north side is Greenwood Estates. The one on the west is Double Branches. I've looked at the price ranges there. They vary from about $150 to $250. The heated square footage comes from about 1,200 up to 2,400. Our thought process here is we're asking to be rezoned the 10.4 acres to 7 1.5 acre lots, plus or minus a little. There would be absolutely no mobile homes or no modular homes allowed. The new homes would range from 1,800 to 2,500 heated square feet. Talking with several developers, price range is going to be about $310,000 to $350,000, depending on the options they want. It could be more, but that's just a ballpark. We request, the approval of this from ag to residential. Again, I feel the project will be a positive spin on the existing homeowners because the lots are larger than the surrounding lots, and new homes always bring up other people's property values. Thank you for your time, and that's basically it.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this application? I'll ask again, is there anyone here and speak in favor of this application? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll reset the clock for 10 minutes, and if there's anyone here who'd like to speak against this application.
My name's Betty McVeigh. I live on 80 West Greenwood Drive. We're concerned about safety and the fact that West Greenwood Drive comes off of the Bowden Highway. There's only one lane, as you know, going toward Bowden and back toward Carrollton. It's very much full of traffic now, and coming off to West Greenwood means that there would be more traffic. And we now have West Greenwood, Greenwood Lane, and many people on North Greenwood who all come out Greenwood Drive to come out to the highway and to come in. So we really can't afford any more traffic on that road. And it's very difficult now with just one lane going each way to come into West Greenwood Drive and come out. In the proposed site, they want to come in halfway up Greenwood Drive and make a new drive off of that, a new road going into that property. And we think that is way too much. It's hard now to get in and out with the amount of traffic and the fact that there's only one lane to come in. There's no passing lane to come into or to leave West Greenwood. So for that reason, we think it's a more of a safety hazard, and we'd rather not have that happen.
Good evening. I'm Ross Miller. I have lived at 155 Greenwood Lane for 50 years. So I have some time in with the neighborhood. You're not getting more reaction because many of our Greenwood Estates folks are not even aware of this. The sign is on the highway, and we come and go to Carrollton and don't go to Bowden very often. So we haven't, many people have not been aware of it. I'm here to oppose rezoning at Highway 166, 2650, number 2653 in its present form, because it does not deal with some matters which need to be dealt with. The buildability matter, the rock underlaying our area is tremendous, and I can go into detail about the rock situation. There will not be, I'm assuming there will not be sewage service, so these folks will be dependent upon septic tanks. Greenwood has a rework of a septic system about every 6 months. We can count on machinery being in the neighborhood frequently. And I don't think that's been accounted for. We have some foundations that are so shallow that a part of the foundation will be sitting on rock. And I just dread a slight tremor because these things will slide down the hill, the whole house. Plants don't fare well in some of this area. And when I moved there, I went out to put in a post, and I didn't have enough soil to hold up a post. The rock was right under that. I didn't realize that was on the edge of the lot I was buying. Okay, drainage. The attached plat does not account for any land devoted to drainage. And between the first and second houses on West Greenwood, there is a drainage that serves about 7 yards uphill from there. Now, this is going downhill into the property being under discussion. Somehow, this has to be accounted for in the plan, and I don't see any accounting for it. And it should be accumulated somehow before it goes into double branches. And it's definitely, double branches is definitely downhill from here, this place. Now, the space use does not include a cul-de-sac, which is desperately needed, no open land, no provision for sidewalks. I don't see how those can be accommodated, and the lots which are on the plat. Therefore, I recommend a rework in consultation with knowledgeable people. I recommend that you send this back to the Planning and Zoning Commission. And I'm available for questions if you need such. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have about 3 minutes left. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition to this application?
Hello. My name is Earlene Fordham. I've lived at 35 West Greenwood Drive for 53 years. It's been a nice neighborhood, and we'd like to keep it that way. The sign that was posted is on 166. Nothing was posted in our neighborhood. Nothing was posted on West Greenwood Drive that there was to be a new subdivision across the street from us. So there is a driveway that went to a house that burned on 166 years ago. If they want to go in, they could go in there off 166 and not come into our neighborhood. With 7 to 10 houses that are going to be coming in, that's 2 cars for each resident, because most residents have 2 cars. That's 14 more cars, at least 14 more coming into our neighborhood. Our street is very small, and like Betty McVeigh said, coming off 166, there's been multiple wrecks there. I can't even count the number. Our neighbor was in a terrific accident there and almost lost her life. So if they want a building there, go in from 166. Don't come into our neighborhood. Please, don't come into our neighborhood. My husband has Alzheimer's, and he has anxiety over the wall. With them coming in with the tractors, now I don't know what it's going to do to him. They're going to be coming in our little street with all the tractors and all the equipment that they need to build houses, with all the noise. I just can't see it. So I would submit to you, please don't let them come into our neighborhood. Thank you. By the way, we didn't get anything in the mail either on the rezoning.
We have about 1.5 minutes left. Is there anyone here to speak in rebuttal on this application? Speak against this application, excuse me. I'll ask a second time. Is there anyone here to speak against this application? Well, seeing and hearing none, we'll go to the rebuttal of 5 minutes, and we can bring the applicant back up if they'd like to speak to some of these concerns, please.
Yes, thank you. A couple people brought up about a street going through the property, but that's not true. Also, I know that they were worried or are worried about being a lot of traffic on that street, but there's only 7 total lots we're requesting, and 2 of them will actually come off Highway 166. So only 5 driveways will come off West Greenwood Drive.
Wait, continue.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. So we have about 4 minutes and 22 seconds left. Is there anyone else? We're still speaking in favor of the application right this moment. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak during the rebuttal time in favor of this application? I'll ask a second time. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor during the 5-minute rebuttal? Okay, well, seeing and hearing none, we'll reset the clock. And then we have 5 minutes if anyone would like to speak against this application.
So am I to understand there are 5 driveways that would come off West Greenwood Drive? There's not enough room. Why can't the main drive come off 166? Why does 5 have to come off our street?
We'll wait for, it's okay.
There is a street. We live on the street.
If you could please direct all your comments to the chairman and the board, please.
Well, I would say that the West Greenwood, the part in front of our house is no more than 2 football fields. The part that the driveways would come off of. I can't even imagine 5 driveways going off that amount of area. I don't know what else to say, except we're really opposed to it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak against this application? We have about 3 minutes left. Is there anyone here that would like to speak against the application? Well, seeing and hearing none, at this point, I'll open up for the commissioners. Do you have any questions for staff or the applicant? But before you do, Diane, can you pull up on the screen the actual way it's being broken out? No, not that one. Keep going. There we go. Just so there was some confusion earlier about a street and a driveway. I thought we might want to look at this during some comment time. So commissioners, I'll open it up for y'all to ask questions to the applicant or to staff.
Okay, you've already you answered one of them. You're going to have 2 driveways onto 166.
Yes, sir, that is correct. And I made a mistake a while ago, actually, and I hope this helps. Actually, I said 5 driveways coming off West Greenwood, but one of them will actually come off Greenwood Lane, which is on the back side. So it makes it only 4. So I know that's,
It's okay, so we're looking at 4 on West Greenwood Drive and 1
Yes, sir, on the back side.
on Greenwood Lane.
Yes, sir, and that's on the back side. That's track, sorry, my vision not great. That's lot 7. So one of the driveways will come off there, then there'll be 4 on West Greenwood, and then the other 2 will be on Highway 166, which are lots 1 and 2.
Okay, well, this may be, Janet, I can't see. How many existing driveways are there now down this stretch of road? It's got to be at least 2 or 3 because there's houses in there.
No, sir, there's no houses on the property.
No, not on this property. I'm on the other side.
Oh, Actually, well, I wish I could kind of show you on the map. The houses on the right side that are West Greenwood, they don't start till back up the street a good ways. There is a small commercial building there, and they build playground equipment.
Okay, I got it. Okay, I know where that is. All right. All right. I know there's concerns about septic, so, I mean, we're still a step away from there. There's no soil test or anything been done yet, or have there?
We met with Mr. Mashburn before he ever had the survey done or the lot configuration, and told him to have the soil test done before he brought back a lot configuration. So he has had the soil test done. These lot sizes are based on those soil tests.
On the soil test?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to look at this and see if there's some way that you could reduce the number of driveways onto West Greenwood Drive. I mean, maybe with a cul-de-sac or something along those lines. I know you've gone to a lot of trouble with this, but
Well, West Greenwood already connects to Greenwood Lane in the back.
yeah, I see that.
Those are
All right.
already county roads.
Well, are you building a road into this place?
No, sir.
So you're just gonna, these lots on the back are gonna be a long driveway back out to West Greenwood?
Yes. Then on the backside, we're gonna try to leave a buffer to separate green space.
Okay, that's my next question. You've got some green space, in here. Okay. That's all I have.
Ms. Hyde, does this meet the future land use map changing from agricultural to R2?
It does, yes.
Okay. And it was already stated that, I guess, based off the topography and then the soil perk testing, that's why you've got a differentiation of the lots from 1.1 approximately to 1.5.
Yes, sir.
Question just for staff at this point, has there been any issues brought up about drainage or anything from your perspective?
There have not.
Okay. All right, I have a question for the applicant.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware of any potential drainage issues that was brought up in comments earlier?
No, sir, I am not.
And if there was development that happened, and in good faith, if you saw that there could be a potential of that, that's something that the development would handle at that time?
Absolutely. I've lived here 50 years, and I want to continue to live here.
Thank you.
Janet, if I could bring you back up, I have a couple questions too that probably need to be addressed for the citizens. Concerning the rezoning sign, would you explain how the signs are installed, and then explain who does it, doesn't receive a letter?
Yes, I will. The signs are placed typically on the main road where a rezoning is happening. Typically the address that's assigned to the parcel. If there is no address, we try to use the closest street frontage that would give the most public impact, that more of the public can see the property and the rezoning sign, because we want to make sure that more of the public is aware of the rezoning than not. As far as the notifications, the letters that go out, those only go to people whose property touches this property. So if you live across the street, across West Greenwood or across Greenwood Lane, you would not be getting a letter from our staff.
And then one other question. Okay, so the property currently is zoned, part of it agricultural and part of it, what was the other option?
R1.
R1. Could you explain what the current use could be on these two pieces of property?
So
If-
ag zoning allows for 4-acre lots, but it also would allow for farmland, cows, goats, whatever. You could put a house or a mobile home on that property. The residential zoning would not allow for a mobile home or any sorts of farm animals, that sort of thing.
So how much of it is currently zoned agricultural?
The majority of it is agricultural, all except for that one little strip that you saw there were 2 parcels there. That one single strip is all that's not zoned agricultural.
So right this moment, if zoning did not pass, they could put 2 houses on there because of the 4-acre minimum.
Yes, and they could also put 2 mobile homes.
Correct.
And Madam Chairman, in defense of community development, I've received about 10 phone calls after that sign went up. So people going by 166 saw the sign and called me. So people saw the sign. I guess just the folks that live up in Greenwood didn't see it.
Is there any further questions for staff or the applicant at this time? I'm looking to see if there's any further questions from the Board of Commissioners for the applicant or for staff. Okay, well, seeing and hearing none, I will request a motion and a second, please.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll make a motion to approve with the caveat that if we run into trouble with drainage and that sort of thing, that the county engineer is going to let us know what's going on.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve with county staff informing the commissioners concerning drainage issues, and a second. So at this time, I'll open it up.
Second.
Okay, again, I've got our motion, our second. Thank you, George. At this time, I'll open it up to the commissioners for further questions or discussion. So I would like to ask for a little bit of clarification on how do you want staff to respond to us, and exactly what do you mean by drainage issue? I mean, I just think that's very vague.
Well, when you start, I mean, if you start that problem, you're going to have silt fences around this place, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, if the answer to that is, if mud starts showing up in the highway, or if mud starts showing up on West Greenwood, then I want Janet's, I want folks at community development to let us know about it, because then we've got a problem.
Not everything will be code in any type, I mean, silt fence is number one, and that would start out with that. But
Okay.
as far as I know, there's no drainage issues, but I mean, I'm not saying that, you know.
If you could
And
turn the
also let
microphone.
let the record reflect that I did ask the applicant that if drainage issues came about with regard to the topography of the property, which could be something additional, that is something in good faith that you would address at that time, correct? That was the answer that you gave, is that correct?
Could you please come to the microphone that way? So I just need a little bit better clarification. So when staff notifies us, what do you want staff to do, or what do you want the applicant to do concerning the drainage?
Well,
Is
he'll
that-
have to address it.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to make sure we normally do address these things normally, don't we, in the process? Yeah, I would like Ben Skipper to come forward, please, because we are having a little bit of a concern here with the drainage. If you address how community development handles drainage.
Sure. Ben Skipper, Community Development Director. Commissioners, the concerns that you're referring to with drainage, we have full staff there with the engineering department and code enforcement. So the things that you're referring to is any sediment that leaves your site is a violation, which is code enforcement, and any violations of tracking mud out into the county road system is a violation, which code enforcement also cites. So those are regular occurrences. And so from a standpoint prior to the building permits being issued, silt fence goes up. But what typically that you're referring to, not to be picking on the builder or developer, but the silt fence goes up and the sheetrock truck comes in and delivers the sheetrock and runs over the silt fence and tracks mud out into the street, which the builder then is responsible for shoveling it out of the street. And if he doesn't shovel it out of the street, Connie comes out and gets his autograph. And then he goes to magistrate court and he's issued a citation.
May I say that the neighborhood usually polices that very well?
Yes.
Because we know.
Yes. What Commissioner Lee is referring to, we had a builder in his district that pulled mud out into the street, and code enforcement issued citations. But that's handled at the staff level. So from a stipulation standpoint, it's handled and addressed at the per meeting level.
I have a question for the applicant. I'm looking here at Lot 4 and 5, and as Community Director Ben Skipper knows, I don't really like long skinny driveways like right next to each other, nor do I particularly care to have a driveway shared, because we end up with problems down the road. Would you consider combining lots 4 and 5 and making just one house on that one to avoid this narrow flag type development?
I do understand that, and we did talk about that, but if we combine them, the price is gonna have to go up on the lots, and it's gonna get the houses more expensive, and we're trying to keep the pricing, you know, kind of similar to what's adjoining and what's around it. So we don't want to price ourselves out. Does that make sense? And one more thing, just so point blank, I won't be the builder. I'm not the builder, but I mean, just cause I know everybody was like the builder this, builder that, but I do understand. And if there is a drainage issue, it will be through the codes and that kind of stuff. But I just wanted to specify, I'm not the builder.
But you are the representative here, representing for this to be passed, correct?
Yes, sir, that is
Thank you.
correct.
Okay, well, now, the chairman's just brought up an issue that's piqued my curiosity. Are you planning on that being one single driveway, or are you gonna take two driveways out?
Right, no, it's two driveways.
Okay.
So Commissioner Fuller, back to clarify again, when you put the motion there, us to be notified, so question number 1 is how you want us to be notified, and then the second thing is, what do you want us as commissioners to do at that point? So do you want to remove that part from the motion, or if you want to put that in there, if you'll tell us exactly how we're supposed to be notified, and then what are we supposed to do as commissioners if we are?
I think community development has answered my concern. I think they will be on it.
So do you want to restate the motion?
Yes, you can remove that.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second to approve this with the stipulation of the
Erosion control.
Erosion, thank you, control, with that part being removed. So it's just basic motion to accept the application as presented, and we have a second by Commissioner Chambers. Okay, any further discussion? Any further questions for staff or the applicant? Well, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of passing the application?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion passed 6-1.
Great, thank you. All right, we'll move into, I lost my applicant. Okay, we're now going to move into 9-9, a 90-day moratorium on applications for special events facilities, and I'll call the County Attorney Avery Jackson.
Thank you. Chairman and Commissioners, we have before you today a 90-day moratorium on application for special events facilities. The taking of those applications or the issuing of any conditional use permits for those applications. Currently, special event facilities are a conditional use in the agricultural zoning district. The staff has presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission a text amendment change to the ordinance. The staff has presented to change special events facilities from being a conditional use allowed in the ag zoning district to move that to a conditional use allowed in the commercial zoning district. And the Planning Commission has asked for time to consider that text amendment change and to discuss it a little further and to see what modifications the Planning Commission might have to that ordinance change. And so the Planning Commission has requested to the Board of Commissioners to issue a 90-day moratorium on special events facilities, conditional use permits for those facilities in the ag zoning district while they consider that ordinance change.
Commissioners, are there any questions for Avery or for Ben Skipper at this time? Well, seeing and hearing none, I'll accept a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the moratorium on conditional use permits for special events facilities presented by the Planning and Zoning Board. Are there any further questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, I believe it was 7-0?
Yes.
Making sure, okay. Okay, at this time, I have to apologize. Earlier in the agenda, and especially Jacqueline, when we had so many people here, so I apologize for leaving off our proclamation. So I apologize to staff who had to sit back there for an hour. So I hope at this point that you do feel very special. So today we have a proclamation for Waste and Recycling Workers Week of June 12th through the 18th. Whereas the nation celebrates the week of June 17th as Waste and Recycling Workers Week, and whereas waste and recycling workers provide a very essential service of keeping Carroll County clean, and I'm going to repeat that, a very essential service of keeping Carroll County clean. And whereas the men and women employed at the Carroll County Transfer Station make significant contributions to the safety, health, and welfare of citizens, and whereas the proper collection and disposal of waste and recyclables is vital to preventing disease, litter, and dump heaps, and whereas the Carroll County leads the wonderful community in its appreciation of all waste removal workers. Now, therefore, I, Michelle Morgan, Chairman of the Carroll County Board of Commissioners, encourages all citizens and local businesses to participate in opportunities to thank the men and women in the waste and recycling workers industry. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Carroll County, Georgia, to be affixed to this proclamation on the 7th day of June, 2022. And I'll ask y'all to step forward, and we'll have Ashley take our picture.
I just want to say that on behalf of my department, I want to introduce Brandy Pounds, who is our transfer station clerk, and Dakota Eisen, who is my lead operator, heavy equipment operator at the transfer station. And they do perform a very vital service to our community, and I am very grateful to both of them and the staff that they lead for the fine job that they do representing Carroll County every single day that they come to work, which, for the record, is mostly 6 days a week. So thank you very much.
Yes, I'll move the podium.
We'll now move into the consent agenda. The items under this action were discussed at the public work session we had on Thursday, April 28th. It's now on view at carrollcountyga.com, and they will be presented as one single item with only one vote. So 10.1 is public works and equipment purchase, to purchase 3 New Holland tractor loaders from Ag-America. 10.2 is fire rescue equipment purchase, to purchase 1 Sutphen heavy-duty custom pumper, 1 Sutphen heavy-duty custom platform with a whole bunch of stuff, and 1 Sutphen heavy-duty custom with ladder. 10.3, fire rescue equipment purchase. This is for the combat sniper hoses. 10.4, an investment agreement. This is a consideration of an engagement with Raymond James to act as an investment advisor. And 10.5, a library MOU for a one-time payment for some capital outlay for our municipal libraries. And 10.6, a library MOU for an understanding with the $250,000 we give. And 10.7, Carroll County Library Board appointment of Dr. Nancy Mims. 10.8, Carroll County Development Authority appointment by Commissioner Ernie Reynolds for Donna Lackey to the Carroll County Development Authority. 10.9, Region 4 EMS Council appointments for Chief Alan English with Carrollton City Fire Department and Chief Chuck Barnwell with Carroll County Fire Rescue. 10.10, the Carroll County Board of Family and Children Services appointment of Pastor Vincent George. 10.11, Pathway Center Community Service Board, a consideration of appointment for Jody Goodman. And 10.12, an inmate work detail agreement with the City of Carrollton. 10.13, a fire service agreement with the City of Carrollton. 10.14, appraisal services for residential property. 10.15, emergency medical services agreement with West Georgia Ambulance. 10.16, a transit contract renewal for FY 22-23 for our Carroll Transit. And 10.17, fire rescue uniforms to purchase uniforms from Galls LLC. I think I got all of them. So if I will have a motion and a second to approve these.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passed 6-1.
No, George was an aye. George, I want to confirm, you were in favor of these?
Yes, I'm in favor of the consent agenda.
Correction, motion passed 7-0.
All right, we'll now move into 11, our financial session. 11.1 is a consideration of a resolution and ordinance providing for the appropriations and expenditures of funds for the government of Carroll County, Georgia for the Carroll County fiscal year 2023, beginning July 1st, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2023, and providing for the operations of county departments, boards, agency, elected offices, and other governmental activities. At this point, I'll call Alicia Searcy, our Finance Director, forward.
Thank you, Commissioners. We have the budget resolution in front of you for the FY 23 budget, including our special revenue accounts. This we've spent quite a bit of time reviewing, so unless you have any specific questions.
I don't have a question. I think like all of us, I speak for all of us. Thanks for all you do, Alicia, and for putting all the information out there that we requested from you. And I think we continue to be a frugal local government operation. And yes, the budget has increased, but so have the demands. And I am also favorable that we considered future millage rate indications, and we are not passing this budget with any understanding of raising that, so we want to keep a lid on that as well. So I just want to thank also all the departments for all of their frugality and leadership. So I think we have done a good job with the funds we have to work with.
Thank you for saying that.
I'd also like to thank the Finance Department and the department heads, Human Resources, the chairman, and the whole board for, this is a very in-depth process, and staff spends a whole lot more time on it than we do, but then we spend a lot of time going through what you've summarized and put together in areas that we would like to go back and dig deeper into. I would also agree with Commissioner Reynolds, not only demand going up, but the price of everything has gone up. So obviously the budget is going to be more so increasing than maybe normal just by looking at the cost of everything and the inflation. I also would like to say that I appreciate our employees and what they do. We have included in this budget to try to take care of them monetarily as well. We've all said this, that our employees are our greatest asset here. So thank you to the employees for what they do, and thank you for staying with us. We know that there's a lot of opportunities to work a lot of places, but we try to provide a safe, long-term environment here with the county, a career that you can come and stay and be safe in your employment. So thank you for trusting us, and thank you for what you do to serve the community.
Do I have a motion and a second to accept the budget as presented?
Motion made.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed?
Motion passed 7-0.
Great, thank you, Commissioners. Alicia, if you'll do 11.2, our FY 2022 budget amendment.
You have before you the budget amendment that increases our budget. The biggest portion of that is related to the staff bonuses that we discussed. That'll be a two-part, one bonus and one retention, based on the scales that we've used in the past. And then there's some other items that we're increasing, like parks equipment and some other things that we needed to purchase at the end of the year. Any direct questions on that?
Well, seeing and hearing none, I'd like a motion and a second, please, to accept the budget amendment.
So moved.
Second.
Great, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the budget amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion passed 7-0.
Great, thank you. Alicia, if you'll do 11.3 for us, the natural gas supplier.
In the work session, I presented to you the summary of the RFPs for the natural gas service for the county, and there was some question about what the total increased cost of this would be. We had three people to respond to the RFP. We had True Natural Gas, Mansfield Power and Gas, and Walton Gas. We had a 1-year fixed rate and a 2-year fixed rate, and the 1-year fixed rate for True Natural was .795, Mansfield was .7899, and Walton was .8014. The 2-year fixed rate, True Natural came in at .6830, Mansfield came in at .6655, and Walton came in at .6830. The difference in a 1 year between Mansfield and True Natural ended up being about $2,000. With the current economic situation in the current administration in Washington, with pressure on fracking and all of that, is reducing the supply on natural gas. So we may want to look at a 2-year rate on that.
Do I have a motion and a second concerning who's going to be our natural gas supplier?
I have some comments before a motion, but if that's the case, then I'll.
Oh, I'm sorry, I would have asked for questions, but we can go ahead and do those.
So I did some calculations on this, and I would agree with Ms. Searcy. No one's got a crystal ball, but I know right now, just since this RFP has been turned in, the price per therm has gone up probably a nickel.
Correct.
So the numbers have already gone up. So I believe that the wager definitely is in the 2-year fixed rate. You look at some of them, we went from $69,873.08 on a current annual basis at .4780 per therm. And then you can see the numbers now, but you're looking at about $99,839 to $97,281.46, backing out those numbers. If we went with a 1-year term, we would be paying about $16,000 to $18,000 more per year just in the differentiation in those numbers. So I think if there's any amount of time that the market stays up, I think it's definitely worth going with the 2-year. It's my understanding that currently we have True Natural Gas from Palmetto. I think they have been a vendor with us for quite some time. They came in second along with Walton Gas, and then Mansfield Power and Gas was slightly cheaper. As Ms. Searcy said, about $2,500, that there would be a savings there per year. My only concern, I think we definitely need to look at the low bidder, obviously, very seriously, but in the same note, if we have a vendor that has been serving us, we've had good customer service. It's also my understanding that was brought up in the work session that True Natural Gas was a member of the Chamber of Commerce here in Carroll County, or was a chamber member. So taking all that into consideration, I think that weighs heavily as well. We don't know what's ahead. We don't know what other companies out there may be trying to take on new customers, and then if there became a shortage, would that be an issue for Carroll County? So I believe a vendor that has been supplying us with this resource would continue to try to do a good job as they have in the past. So I would just ask the board to consider that as well. You know, is it worth the gamble of trying to switch a vendor over $2,000 or not?
Are there any more questions, discussions? Okay, I'll ask for a motion in a second, please.
Motion to go with what Commissioner Chan suggested of the True Natural Gas for a 2-year fixed rate.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or questions? Well, seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of True Natural Gas with a 2-year commitment?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion passed 7-0.
Okay, we'll now move into 12, the business session. We have a public hearing for an abandonment of .54 miles of Oakshade Avenue. And I believe at this time, Avery, would you like me to ask if there's anyone here to speak in favor or against this?
Yes, and this is the abandonment of .54 acres of Oakshade Road, or miles of Oakshade Road. It's surrounded by the land owned by the City of Temple. The City of Temple asked the Board of Commissioners to abandon the road. It's a dirt road. People dump their trash. Nobody uses it to go to any residence or anything. And the board voted to start the process of the abandonment at the May meeting, and we've done all the proper notifications and advertisements of that.
So I'll ask at this time if there's anybody here to speak on the abandonment of .54 miles of Oakshade Road. I'll ask a second time if there's anyone here to speak on the abandonment of part of Oakshade Road. Well, seeing and hearing none, I'll then close the hearing. And we'll move on to 12.2, the resolution and the actual abandonment of the road.
And this is just the resolution to approve the abandonment.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the abandonment of .54 miles of Oakshade Road. Any other further questions or comments? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion passed 7-0.
Great, thank you. Avery, we'll turn it over to 12.3, the licensing and regulation of special events facilities.
Thank you. We have before you a licensing ordinance for special event venue facilities. This is not a zoning ordinance or zoning change. This is just a licensing ordinance. It would apply to special event venue facilities no matter where they are located. Again, there's a text amendment proposed where those are going to be located, but this is separate and apart from that. This is very similar to the short-term rental license ordinance that the Board of Commissioners passed last year that affected the Airbnbs. The county staff and codes enforcement was receiving a lot of complaints about noise, parties, and other issues concerning Airbnbs, and the staff wanted to develop a licensing requirement to help monitor those issues better, and that's essentially what staff is proposing for special event venue facilities as well.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I do. Will this apply to the ones that have license now when they come to renew?
Yes, anybody that has a conditional use permit to operate an event venue facility anywhere in the county, this licensing ordinance would apply to them. They'll be notified of it. They'll be given time to get in compliance with it. They'll have to come and make an application for the annual license, and then they'll get inspected.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any
Avery,
other?
yes, I see in section 22-76 D that no special events facility permit issued under this article shall be transferred or assigned or used by any person other than the special events facility owner or special events facility agent to whom it is issued, so on. Does that mean if that land is sold, or if the facility or the land is sold, does that license go with the new property owner, or is that annulled?
The license does not. Now, whether the conditional use permit does or not may depend on whether those conditions were placed on it at the time, but the license would not. There are special requirements in the licensing ordinance where you have to have a 24-hour contact person, and there's other things that are very specific to the owners of that establishment. And so for another owner to come in, they're going to need to fill out an application, identify who their representative is, provide the contact information for that representative. So if there are noise complaints, traffic issues, safety concerns, then codes enforcement knows exactly who to go to contact about those issues.
Okay. Then I had a couple more questions, just a little further, section 22-78, D, where it talks about the 3 convictions or judgments. Those words are different than codes violations, so what, can it be codes violations, or can it be actual magistrate court judgments?
So when they get a codes citation for a violation, then those go to magistrate court or to state court, and then they're either found guilty or not guilty. So they would need to be found guilty of those code violations for them to affect their license. If they're found not guilty of a codes violation, then that would not affect their license.
Okay. And then for that period of 12 consecutive months after that, can they, do they have to reapply, or do they just continue operating on their old one?
No, they would have to reapply. If they get
Okay.
convicted of those and the community development pulls their licensing requirement, then they would have to reapply at that time.
Okay, last question. Are there, in addition to pulling the license, are there actual monetary penalties for violations, or no?
There are standard violations, if you'll look in the next section, E, that any person in violations of the provisions of this article will be punished as provided in section 1.13 of the ordinance, and that's our standard monetary violations for any of our codes.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or discussion? Can I look for a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
Second.
Can I have now is that a motion to
To
approve?
approve.
Okay.
As presented.
Okay, great. So we have a motion and a second to approve as presented. Any further questions, discussion, or comments? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion passed 7-0.
Okay, at this time, we'll move into 12.4, the City of Villa Rica, a tax allocation district intergovernmental agreement, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner Chance.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. As I updated at our work session, this continues to be a negotiation between the county and the City of Villa Rica regarding the TAD proposal. The City of Villa Rica did vote to send back some information for us to consider in a counter proposal. There's also been some additional discussion since that time. I think there's some additional analysis that we have requested on behalf of the county, and some more supplemental information that we are continuing to wait on at this particular point in time. While the matter is sensitive in some form, time sensitive, the reality is I want to ensure that we all have the pertinent facts that we need to make a good decision on this particular item. So with that stated, I would ask that we table this until the next meeting, which could be the special called meeting of June 21st. If that meeting did not transpire, that it would be moved to the next regularly scheduled meeting. I would also state that I continue to be available if there's anything I can do to communicate with the Board of Commissioners regarding the back and forth of the information through the negotiations before it's finalized for our consideration.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Chance. At this time, I'll take a motion and a second to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
Is that a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Great,
Sorry.
thank you. Is there any further discussion, comments, or questions? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion
Meeting
pa-
adjourned.